Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. I am on the rolly stool, and yeah, um, you're thinking this is probably AI because I don't have a rock star. It's not. I'm just kidding around. Um, of course, I have a rock star. Um, I was trying to have fun. I watched this documentary on AI, and it is absolutely mind blowing. And this is just one company that's working on it, and what's coming down the pipeline extremely fast, much faster than you think, is simply just absolutely incredible. It's what they're doing um, with the technology and AI is just absolutely insane. Absolutely, it would blow your mind away. And this is simple stuff. Sorry, not simple stuff, but things that they're solving problems, very difficult problems, very quickly that have taken hundreds or thousands of years to solve. They're doing it in seconds, and it's actually even getting quicker and quicker and quicker. So, if you get a chance, check it out. The documentary that I watched was called "The Thinking Game," and it's about a couple of guys who won the Nobel Prize for folding proteins with AI, which is absolutely nuts. If you know anything regarding human body and not just human body, but uh, bodies in general and medical um, stuff, it's pretty impressive. So I figured I would mess with AI with having water instead of Rockstar. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Actually, in truth, since moving to Florida, I have my water intake has increased dramatically. It's a lot. Before it was just pretty much straight Rockstar. Now it's there's a lot of water involved. You get do a lot of stuff outside. You get dehydrated real quick. So anyway, enough with the health update. Wanted to get you guys talking about what I'm actually blocking. My whole body is blocking this. So we talked about the brakes. I have new brake pads that I ordered for the truck. I heard some noise and I thought, oh, well, that's the squeaker. There's a little thing called a squeaker or a squealer that's on the brake pad, and it's a piece of metal, and it touches the rotor when you get down to a certain amount left on the pad, and that's your audio, your oral indication, AURAL, of it's time to replace the pads. But after checking out the passenger side, I realized I don't think I need new pads on the truck. I think they need to be cleaned out. And this is something you can do regularly. The Whenever you take wheels and tires off or check tire pressures or whatever, it's something you can do, and you can check your brake pads just to see. Most calipers have a viewing window for your brake pads to see if you actually need new pads or if you're okay and you don't have to take everything apart. So we're going to take a look at the driver's side. It would be very odd for the passenger side to have 3/4 of brake pad left and the driver's side to have none left. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take the wheel off. I'm going to show you how to jack this up and take the wheel off real quick. Um, Not a ton of special tools involved, although I am going to be using an air gun to remove the lug nuts and put them back on, just because we're dealing with 140 foot-pounds of torque. And I'm also going to use an air jack just because it's quick and easy and very simple. On these trucks, you jack up from the control arm, run underneath it. Otherwise, if you try and jack up from the frame, it's going to take you forever. You have a great deal of suspension travel here, so it's going to take you forever to jack up from the frame. So it's easier to just go underneath the control arm and lift from the control arm. That just lifts the wheel and the truck at the same time. And I'll show you guys the viewing window, and you can take a look before you get into this job. Now, what's nice is I do have the brake pads. They're ready to go at any time, so I don't have to order them or whatever. I can do them literally right then. First thing we're going to do is put on some bitch mittens. And the reason I do this, there's a lot of guys who don't. When you work with brakes and clutches, it's usually a good idea to keep that material off of your hands. Those materials in the brake pads themselves, the actual compound, it's proprietary. We don't really know what's in there. It's probably not harmful, but let's not take the risk. Same thing go with the packs on a clutch. That material, that gripping material, again, it's proprietary. We don't really know what it's made of. So there's really gnarly shit that's in those. We don't really want it on our hands. I don't want it on my clothes, but I really don't want it on my hands and my nose or mouth or eyes or ears or whatever. So if I have bitch mittens on, I at least keep a little bit off of me. For those of you wondering what bitch mittens are, it's what mechanics call bitch mittens. They're just nitrile gloves. So I saw a really cool way to put these on. I saw a EMT medic do this cool like wrist flip thing. I haven't practiced it, but it was pretty cool. And it was a lot faster than doing it this way. They did it in like one move with the wrist flip. It was cool. So let's grab our air jack. And I have the extension for the air jack too. So this is the air jack. This is the little 4-inch extension. And I have a hockey puck as well. So I'm also going to grab a light so I can see what the hell I'm doing down here. Again, this is just going to go on the control arm. Right at the base and right in the center. Actually, I'm going to grab my air hose quick. It's easier to attach the air hose when it's not underneath the truck. Get a little better leverage. So. And the other thing I have with the air hose is the blowgun, which we'll be using to clean all this stuff out. So let's get this guy attached and get the truck raised up. Now I have the truck in park and I have the parking brake on, so it's not going to go anywhere. But also I'm going to have that other side on the ground, so I'm not too worried about it. So right there in the center, and then jack it up. I only need about an inch. I don't need this wheel, 2 feet off the ground. I only need about an inch. That should be plenty. And that's now done. We're done with the air hose for that, because with the air jack, we can release it and it has a slow release valve and it'll come down slowly. So we don't need the air. What we are going to need is our big air gun. And this is a 7/8. So we have a really nice air gun and we have a 7/8 socket to take this off. Now, this is going to be kind of loud, so I apologize right now for the noise. And make sure you have your air gun on reverse, not on tight. Don't ask me why I have to tell you that. There's 8 of these, of course. There, let's just set them up here. Now, here's another trick. Sometimes the lug nuts get stuck inside here. they'll have cladding on them or whatever. These have been replaced, obviously. These are actually really nice lug nuts. Sometimes they'll get stuck inside the socket and you can't get it out. What you can do is you can put it on like 2 or 3 threads and then wiggle the socket all the directions, and then it'll come off. Then you can just unthread it by hand. Here's another pro tip. Oh, as I say that, it actually does it. So, come on, buddy. There you go. Another pro tip. Try not to have your hose underneath your tire. That sucks. I've done that a couple of times. You lower the car and the hose is on there and you're like, damn it, now I can't move anything. I'm gonna raise everything back up. Now, if you watch NASCAR, guys, they do 5 of these in about 2 seconds, which is pretty incredible. Now, this last one is going to come off, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on 2 or 3 threads because I'm going to be hammering this wheel, and what I don't want it to do is just flop off and possibly damage the wheel or the hubcap or anything else in the car. So when I hammer on this, it's actually going to get stuck on this lug nut. When everything is loose and I can move the wheel by myself, then I'll undo this guy. So rotate, and you can see he gets loose. The other option is, of course, to kick it. But you can see the wheel did not fall off because we have that lug nut still on there. So we got our lug nut off. Now we can pull our wheel off. And since we didn't jack the truck up very far, it's not, these are almost 100 pounds. I think they're 86 or 87 pounds each. So it's a lot of unsprung weight. And we just set this off to the side and it makes a good stool. These trucks come with big ass brakes, super thick rotors, super duty pads. So let's take a look. I'm going to bring you guys over here if that's cool. We will take a look inside. If it'll stay put. Let's get this up where, yeah, we're actually okay on pads here. Okay, so don't have to replace pads right now, but I hadn't checked before. So we'll just go through like some of the super simple stuff. As you can tell, there's corrosion. These are cast iron, and if you want to, you can take a wire brush to them, and you can spin this around, and you can wire brush these. These are your rotors, and they're very heavy. Obviously, the caliper has to come off, pads have to come off, the rotor comes out. The rotors are in with these safety clips. Those all have to come off too. It's a huge pain in the dick to get these off. But the other thing with your brake caliper, you can actually just change pads. I'll just describe how to change pads very quick, because even though we're not going to do it. You have a bolt up here and you have a bolt underneath. That's this mechanism that slides. It actually is half of the clamp. These two guys sort of work backwards from each other. They go to do the brakes. So this guy can come out. You can leave this bolt in, take the lower bolt out, and this will pivot up. You can pivot it up. That'll save tension on the brake line, on your speed sensor and ABS and body control sensor, stability control sensor. That folds up and it'll almost rest on top here. And that way you can get the pads out. You can press the cylinders back. You just use a pry bar, and because these pads are toast, right? So you can use a pry bar and press those, and then put your new pads in. This slides down. Depends on the rotors. These rotors are actually in very good shape. There's barely any use on them. There's some heat checking and some imprinting. You can see a pad imprint here. It's probably when I was at the airport last. when the rotors get hot and you stop and leave it, it'll imprint the pad, just the shape, the edge of the pad on there. They're not carved up very bad. You'll see faces that are like an old school LP. I mean, there's just deep grooves in here. So there's a couple of imprints on there. There is some heat checking right here, which are these vertical streaks. I'm not sure if you can see those. That's just part of how this is constructed, how this is built, and this section is, it looks like cracks, and they'll eventually turn, if they keep going, they'll turn into cracks, but it should be okay for now. With any good fortune, that heat checking is just, it'll last the life of the rotor. So these are big ass rotors, big ass brake pads. The other thing you can do is make sure you lube the squealer and the, I'm just going to look at the squealer. Yeah, I mean, he's not even close. He's not even close on this side. Yeah, he's not even close on this side. So your inspection windows are back here on the caliper. So I'll put this back up here. Your inspection windows are back here. You have 1, 2, 3. There's actually 2 for the inside, 1 for the outside. And you can just look in this little window right here, and you can see how much pad is left. If you have more than half of the pad left, there's no reason to change it out. If you have less than half of the pad left, measure the rotor, the thickness. There's specs on how thick these need to be. And then double check the thickness on this. You can do that with calipers as well. Replace the pads, replace the rotors. This is a safety item, so it's way better to replace it early than to replace it when it's the whole car's beer canned because you didn't have brakes. So better to replace it early. I mean, that's why we do the maintenance on this stuff, right? It looks like we're missing we're missing 2 of the hold downs. So I don't know, maybe they only do 6. There were 8 on the other side. So this is like super simple brake maintenance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook the blowgun up to this, and I'm going to blow out all of the dust and dirt, because what these do is they're very good at catching dirt, debris, and all of this brake pad material. They catch a lot of it. Some of it, does go down to the ground, but this is very good at hanging on to that because it gets hot and that stuff will grab into the metal. It'll grab into the brake caliper, the secondary caliper, the rotor. It'll grab into everything once it gets hot. So we're going to blow all this out. Plus this corrosion is part of a natural. Now, if you have, a Porsche with carbon brakes, you're obviously not going to have this, but you're going to be paying $25,000 for new brakes. So that's the difference. These are about $400. So this stuff, the corrosion flakes off, gets caught in between the pad and the caliper and makes a squeaky noise, whatever. That's why. You'll also see some techs, they'll set a pry bar right here, and they'll have another tech like spin this around and just sort of half-ass machine this face down. And that's okay. It's not really going to hurt anything. It does take the corrosion off. It's just very funny to watch. And you can do that if you want. You can put a pry bar through here. You can spin it by hand and just have a pry bar here, or wire brush or whatever. And it'll take it. Hopefully you guys can see that. That's just my fingernail popping stuff off as this goes around. And that doesn't happen when you're driving. So, I mean, that's just my fingernail. I don't have a pry bar or anything on there. And you can see the amount of flaking that's happening here. Whoa, big chunk. Oh, a couple more big chunks. So this stuff eventually falls off and it'll get caught in between the pad and the rotor, and it'll cause grooves, it'll make noise until it burns up or falls out. So I'm just gonna use my fingernail since we've already spun this around. It's actually doing a pretty good job. Obviously, you can pull the rotors off and go get them machined, and they'll be perfectly smooth here. They'll be perfectly smooth here. The machine shop will actually face this, make it look really nice. But when you're checking, this is all you really have to do. You just have to make sure that you don't have deep grooves here. You can look down in here and see for grooves on the inside of the rotor. And then your pad inspection windows, look in here to make sure you have enough pad left. Like I said, if you're less than half, then replace them. It's not worth it to, oh, I'm going to take them down to the bare minimum. I'm getting every penny out of these pads. You can, but you're rolling dice. And with this rig, with towing and everything else that I do with this, I can't take that risk. So, yep, I killed the bitch mittens. So I'm going to back you guys up. I'm going to blow this out, and you can watch and see how much crap comes out of here. Even after I did all this, you'll see how much dust and debris and crap comes out. And a lot of that is going to cause your squeaking or, other noises that you don't want. It's also just a good maintenance to keep your pads in better shape, your rotors in better shape. And it only takes a couple of minutes to pull the wheel off. So I'm going to back you guys up. Look at that. And we'll blow this out, and then I'm going to put everything back together. So give me a second here. Get this crap off. Make sure we still have a decent shot for you guys. And then I'm going to show you guys how much crap comes out of here. You'll be pretty amazed. Now, it's going to be kind of loud, so I apologize. Actually, you know what? I'm going to mute you guys if that's okay. All right, with my gross gloves. All right, so hang on. We're going to come right back when I'm done blowing out here. Wow. And it's like super dusty in here now. So when you're doing that, make sure you keep your mouth closed. So, oh, come here, millipede buddy. I can't I can't pick you guys up off the ground. That's why I have to use the card. Come on, buddy. You don't have to be in here. These guys, they're everywhere. Everywhere. Okay, go back outside. I'm going to open up the other garage door to get some air through here. Oh, shit. There we go. All right. That's better. Yeah. So that's the basics of cleaning those that whole area out. And you can see there's still stuff. I don't know. I'm bringing you guys in closer. I don't know if you can still see. There's still stuff coming out of here. If you look by the light, let me grab the camera here. See that stuff still floating? You don't want to breathe that stuff. It's not good for you. It's just, floating in the air. It's super lightweight. And since we cleaned all the garbage out of here, it's going to float around for a little bit. So, yeah. That's the stuff that's in there. And it's very hard to get out, even when you're driving it. So that's why we do this when we have it apart. We can clean all this stuff out. Yeah, it's a lot less now. But you can also see what's on the ground. All that stuff is what came out of there. This was a clean shop floor prior to doing that. So all this stuff just came off your brakes that were working perfectly, but a little bit noisy. So now they'll run a little bit better for a little bit longer, and we'll have nice brakes. So yeah, geez, that's a lot of crap. It goes halfway to the underside of the truck, all the way halfway to the running boards. I mean, it's a lot of crap. So now we can put our tire back on. Actually, let me just grab the broom so the tire doesn't pick it up. Hopefully you guys can see that. So yeah, there's a ton of crap in there. And now hopefully everything runs a little bit better. And just as an exterior example of all of the stuff, you can see this is plastic. This is cladding on the wheel that can't really come off. And it's very difficult to clean when it gets hot. That stuff embeds into the plastic, that brake dust and the contaminants and stuff. And it's very, very, very difficult to get out. So that's the unfortunate part about stupid plastic clad wheel stuff. So another pro tip, if you have an extremely heavy tire, one of the cool ways to do this is make sure you're jacked up as high as you need to be, barely higher than you need to be. And then you can bring the wheel in at an angle like this. Just wiggle it back and forth. What the hell is that? Okay. And then fold it up onto the truck like so. And then you just have to come down here and rotate. And you can rotate the hub, if you need to. But we're just going to lift up on here. If I can. If I can see. There he is. So there we go. Always start your lug nuts by hand, unless you're in a NASCAR crew. Unless your name is Christmas Abbott, you should always be starting lug nuts by hand. If anybody gets that reference, you get 100 internet points tonight. And 8-lug bolting pattern is basically the same as 2 4s. So you'll start with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go to the far side and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just repeat that when you torque it down. That's by far the best way to do it. And I started at the bottom just because the way wheels are, gravity sends it out in a negative camber. So I started at the bottom when I torque these down, or I should say when I zoom them down. When I torque, I'll start from the top. So, of course, he hooked on that extension cord. It's going to be loud for a sec. This side. Yeah, be careful. We're done with the air and the air gun. Stay there. Stay there. We'll get our torque wrench. Actually, we're going to be done with air in our air gun because we're going to lower the truck and then we're going to torque the wheels or torque the lug nuts. Okay. Now we can get our jack out of here. And make sure you get the hockey puck out. There's nothing more embarrassing than going down the road and a hockey puck falling off the underside of your vehicle. That is pretty embarrassing. And yeah, because this thing's so heavy, that hockey puck's going to imprint. Or that hockey puck's going to get imprinted, I should say. Every shop should have a bag of hockey pucks for all kinds of jacking reasons. So there we go. And we can take off our bitch mittens and dispose of those properly. These have officially served their purpose. Oh, come on, buddy. There you go. Get our torque wrench. And I know factory torque spec on these is 140, which this might be a surprise. The lug nut torque on a 2016 Ram 2500 is the same as a V6 Mustang. It is 140 foot-pounds. Is that amazing? Yeah. I don't know why, but we're set at 140, 000. And we'll start at the top and we'll just do that 4-lug pattern and ditch the rolly stool. There's one. Where is he? Right here, right? And then right here. And then because I'm OCD, Done. So there we go. Whoops. So with that check, I know that I have about, I don't know, maybe another 5,000-10,000 miles, maybe longer, depending on how much towing and driving I do on those pads, both on this side and on the passenger side. So I have that reassurance in my head that I still have plenty of pad left. I'm doing okay. Also, if you're doing stuff in your shop and you're doing lug nuts, especially if you're working with any kind of aluminum or alloy wheel, get a set of these. They're labeled, obviously. They're metric and inch. They have a plastic coating on them. They're impact rated 6 lug, but they have a plastic coating on the outside. And it barely has this lip on the inside so that it won't scratch up the wheels. There's nothing worse than doing like an awesome brake job and you go to put the wheels back on and you just carve a circle. Or for some reason, you pull this off and it carves a nice line on the center section, the center hub. So yeah, these are cheap. You can get these Amazon, you get them in local stores. I know Harbor Freight has a really nice set. I believe these are from Amazon, but these are really nice. And you get a set of, I think there's like 6, or it's 8, it's 4 sockets. These are reversible. So this guy goes in here and then you can reverse him and he goes in here. That's how these guys work. And they're really good. So I'll look really quick. I think, it wasn't up here. I was right here. Yeah, there's 4 in there, so 8 total. And they're not very expensive, but they're very handy for any shop. They work on steel wheels. They work on aluminum wheels. They're very nice to have. So there we have it. We have cleaned out rotors and calipers. Like you saw, you can see how much crap came out of there. And that's just regular maintenance. When you're checking on this stuff, when you hear weird noises, pull the wheel off, get a good look at it. It doesn't take very long. And now I know for, up until probably the next oil change, depending on how much I use the truck, the brakes are probably okay. I know if I tow this weekend, I'm going to be fine. That's a big thing. And probably next weekend too, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm doing tractor pulls and shit, probably not. But yeah, it's just a simple maintenance thing. Not that big a deal. The hardest part, obviously, will be cleaning up, sweeping up the garage of all that crap. But these are the things we do, and these keep our dailies and our utilities running optimally. And that's really important because without having the truck, I can't tow race cars around. Without, the daily, I can't go get parts for the race cars. So it's important to do all the maintenance on these and keep them running good, running nicely. I don't know, running well, running properly, whatever the correct grammar is. So, yeah, that's kind of it for tonight. We do have the limo coming back in here, which obviously the truck will go out, the limo will come back in. We're going to be flipping the limo around and doing more stuff at the front of the limo now. This is also one of those. Hopefully Rockstar sees this and says, "Hey Kev, how come you're drinking water now? You should be drinking Rockstar. Let us send you some." That's the other reason why I'm doing this. I know that's cheap ploy. It's supposed to be funny. Hopefully you guys get the humor in that. So yeah, we'll be bringing the limo back in here and doing more stuff at the front of the car instead of in the trunk, because we're basically done in the trunk. And that's about it for tonight. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, definitely put them down there. Shoot me a message, send me a text, whatever. I love hearing from you guys. I love all the new subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing. I'm glad you appreciate this and you're having fun with it. Hopefully learning from it, because that's the whole reason I do this. I don't get paid a dime for any of this. I do it because I love teaching you guys and showing you cool things on cars and trucks and race cars and limos with hot tubs in them with 485 horsepower 383 strokers that do huge burnouts. It's fun. And I'm glad you're having fun with it too. That shows in, the message that I get from people and watching the subscribers keep coming on here. So I appreciate you guys very much. I appreciate it. And don't, feel free to tell your friends. If there's something cool you want to see more of, let me know. And I can go into more detail on anything, whether it's electrical or mechanical, suspension, brakes, transmissions, whatever. You guys let me know and I'll go into more detail on stuff or do something very specific. So I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight, and we'll do a lot more live streams. I was working all day on getting a new camera system and streaming system up, and man, I fight technology every corner. I'm like, oh, this will be really simple, and it's not. So with any good fortune, we'll get some more. We'll get some more cameras. We'll get some more portability, and we'll do more stuff out and about, and out with the people. How's that? Or wasn't that up with people? Yeah, it was up with people. Yeah. Not to date myself or anything. So thanks for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, like I said, just shoot me a message. And don't forget to show someone that you love them today. Give them a kiss on the cheek. Give them a kiss on the tip of their nose. Hold their hand. Give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it is far more important for you. All right. Thanks, everyone. We will see you soon. Let's stream tomorrow. Yeah. Let's do that.